And some of us are raising our children. They think that they are shielding their children away from it, but they don't understand that the internet era is so vast. Your kids are seeing everything, so you might as well teach them the ins and outs of the streets and what happens if you decide you want to go into those streets or not. Because I didn't like the fact that y'all was trying to rape a dude, and it was 5 of y'all trying to rape him. Fist on cheek. Pow! He went down.
هذا حد العالم هذا طالب هذا راسخ وإلى آخره.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to all the RipRight Hadith disciples, YouTubers and viewers. Welcome back to a new video on RipRight HD. Guys, it's been long awaited. So it's actually 2022 and we did so much in 2021. So I wanted to bring back the prison stories. And guys, please don't be in the comments asking me why am I telling these stories. I'm going to be telling stories about prison as well as on the streets. I'm talking about bad things I've done, bad things other people have done around me. Now the purpose of it is so that somebody can actually benefit. They can see my story, my journey, my life, what I've went through and where I'm at now, and the whole 180, if you want to say 360 change in my life. So that's the benefit. So if your kids are watching, some of the stuff is definitely going to be parental advisories going on, definitely, without a doubt, because you know it's prison stories, people getting raped, about to get raped, different things like that, which is a reality. And some of us are raising our children and they think that they are shielding their children away from it, but they don't understand that the internet era is so vast that your kids are seeing everything. So you might as well teach them the ins and outs of the streets and what happens if you decide you want to go into those streets or not. So guys, I'm gonna be jumping back and forth from street scenarios as well as from prison scenarios. Now this particular story was one of the more serious, craziest stories. I can't really say crazy. It has its crazy parts. So no, obviously this is about 2011. I was incarcerated for sex assault. So we went over this whole situation with sex assault and what they actually charged me with. So I know a lot of people, as soon as they hear sex assault, it spooks them out, because obviously it spooked me out at the time, because especially how we treated sex offenders being in and then having to go in under a sex offense was like, it was devastating for me. So I went to prison in Jersey at this time, but I was still in a county, Middlesex County. And in Middlesex County, if you guys don't know about that county, a lot goes on in that county. Nothing super crazy, but you know, you got the gangsters that's running around the county. But for the most part, when something happens, they put it on the front page, burglaries, things like that, because it's like, you know, not too much goes on in that county. Perth Amboy, Brunswick, and different areas like that. So because I was, I think, at South Plainfield or Piscataway, I was the crime, right, happened in Piscataway. I went to Middlesex County, and as soon as I went in, you know, I'm from another borough, I'm from another state, so I'm carrying it like Rikers Island. However, I'm Muslim, so I was trying to be easy, but unfortunately, being incarcerated, especially, you know, when you're on a BS charge, and you know, it's just like a lot. So I kind of went in with the wrong state of mind. I went in to, you know, when I went in, I was happy, not saying I'm happy to be in prison. I was still excited. I still have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I was on low tolerance. So I had many fights when I was in Middlesex County. Now this one scenario, once you have a fight, you get boxed for about 15 days, which was amazing to me. I'm like, oh, you get a fight and only get 15 days? And then the box was single cell, so I used to love single cell. I hated double bunk. And every time I was on these pods in population, I used to have to be double bunked. So being in a box was the best thing for me. So at this particular time, I was already in the box from dusting somebody I think this one was over a basketball game, but I'm in the box now. Nonetheless, we're going to get into all of those stories. But I just want to jump the year off with this particular story. So now, as you see by the title, they tried to rape somebody, and then I had to, not necessarily had to, but I decided to do something about that, because I felt like them guys who did that deserved it. And also for my own, because these guys was acting real tough. In a county that's not even tough like that. So it was like 5 Ñetas. And if you guys are familiar with Ñetas, they allow homosexuals to actually join their gang. And I've heard reasons behind it. Homosexual might have saved one of the leaders back in New York, upstate in prison. It was like a lot of things I've heard why they allow it. Because you don't really see that too much in gangs. They frown upon it. But however, Ñetas are okay with it, or whatever the case may be. So I'm in the box. I'm in 32 cell, and I'm chilling. So I see like a bunch of dudes come in. Now upstairs is C upper and C lower. That's the box. So we can actually hear and see what's going on down there. If you got a good cell, people screaming on the cell, yo, send this over here. So 4 or 5 guys come in, and I'm hearing it through the vents, people talking about them was trying to rape. They was trying to rape this black guy. So automatically I get on the gate. I'm talking to one of the Muslim brothers, and I'm like, yeah, them dudes is Ñetas. I got the whole play already, because it's going through the vents. And I'm like, yeah, they allow that with their gang. That's just how they do. So my man is asking me questions. And I'm telling him about New York, and I'm like, yeah, because I heard in New York, and I'm giving him the story on why it's like that. And some of them they don't mind having sex with men, or whatever the case may be. Not a shot to the Ñetas, not a shot to the gangs or whoever, or whatever your pedigree is. So I'm just telling him what's going on with that particular gang that I knew of. So one of the guys downstairs, I heard him say so-and-so mierda, 32. You know what I'm saying? So I heard, I knew a little bit, picking the words 32, 32. Obviously, Cell is talking crap. So I screams down there like, yeah, boy, like, what's the problem? You got any issues? It wasn't really no response. So I tells him, he's going back and forth. I tells him, I'm like, yo, listen, tomorrow I'm going to take a shower downstairs. Now, there were showers upstairs, one shower upstairs, one shower downstairs. When you came, if a shower was open, you had a chance to pick a shower. So the police came and got me the next morning. The showers was open. So I'm like, yo, boy, tomorrow I'm going to come downstairs so you see my face. So when I catch you and dust you off, don't say I snuck you. Wallahi, this is what I told him. I shouldn't even be swearing by Allah. But this is what I told him. I told him that because I knew, like, when I see him, I was going to dust him off, because I didn't like the fact that y'all was trying to rape a dude. And it was 5 of y'all trying to rape him. You know what I'm saying? That was like kind of whack for me. And then it's a lot of people that's already having sex with men and allowing other men to have sex with them. So why would you go ahead and try to force it on somebody else? Go get with somebody that's down with that. So anyway, from there, I the next morning came, police get me. They like, yo, we going, and I was like, nah, take me downstairs. So as I'm going downstairs to go to that shower, his door is right there. So I walk up to the door. I say, yo, you see me? This is how I look, because my cell was way on the next side on the top tier. His was on the bottom tier. He wouldn't ever be able to see me. He could just hear my voice, us going back and forth. So anyway, I finished taking my shower. I go upstairs. I'm chillaxing. I already know this guy goes to court on April 4th, the same day I go to court, because I was hearing him talking and all of that. This was before. So I'm like, I'm going to crush him at court. So they was just coming in the box, obviously, on that rape joint. So they was going to get out in like 15 days. I had time in already, so I was gonna get out before them. So when I got out of the box, I got up with this celly from New Brunswick, official dude. So I'm like, yo, yeah, it was some dudes in the box. They was trying to rape some dude. He like, yo, they left this house. It was some black dude. He's like, trust, don't even mess with them. They not built like that. I'm like, nah, they violated. Or when I see him, I'ma dust him because he was talking crazy. And then they try to rape a dude. Like, we not going for that. So he like, yo, I'm telling you, you good. I'm like, yo, they go to court the same day as me, one of them. He like, don't even trip. So now, the day they was getting out the box, I was waiting on my gate. Now it's mad pods on this particular in this particular jail. So when they releasing them, they're not gonna put all 5 of them back on the same pod. But I knew one of them at least was gonna come back to this pod. So one of them was a tall dude. He was, you know, he wasn't on nothing. So I stood on my gate. I watched them come in during count time. Everybody locked in. He don't know who in the house. I got my slot like cracked, so I'm creeping on him. So I'm like, I'm gonna dust him first, go to the box, and then once I go to the box, I'm gonna go to court, and then when I get to court and see the next one, I'm gonna dust him. You feel me? So, boom. The police finally come up after the whole count, put him in the cell, come up after the whole count to let us out. So they starting from our side. So they had to open my door first. So when they opened my door, the police had to go around the tier, and he's on that side. So I'm like, all right, let me get out before he could start talking to people, and then kind of like get some momentum and see that I'm on the block. So let me just dust him. So I came out and I waited behind the pillar. So when I was waiting behind the pillar, I guess he was in there talking to his celly like, blah, blah, blah. So by the time the police come to his door and open his door, and he see me, he looked like he seen a ghost. Mind you, this dude wasn't talking crap. He just happens to be one of the dudes that was trying to rape the other dude. He was tall, you know what I'm saying, slinky a little bit. So he knew who I was because, like I told you, I came downstairs and showed myself to his man and then all the rest of them. So when he came out, he came up to me, he like, yo, what's good? With the laugh like that, I'm like, yo, what's good? I'm like, yo, you know me? He like, oh, son, you 32 cell. I'm like, yeah, facts. What's up? You good? So he like, yeah, bro, you was up there wilding, man. Yo, you know, and he befriended me. So I'm like, all right, let's see what he on. All right, I let him go downstairs. He went downstairs. I went down right behind him. I'm chilling in the day room. I'm just watching him. I see him go in this cell. Then I see other people, they coming out. Yo, mama. They start speaking the Guala joint, you know what I'm saying? You know, we used to say German. They start speaking German, son. Spanish, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, here we go. I let him round up. Let me see, though, if he really... So he rounds up with like 4 or 5 of them. They don't do nothing. I guess they talk, find out who I was. XYZ. Nothing happens. I go to court. In the morning I go to court, I pack my stuff. I told my celly, like, yo, listen, I'm packing this stuff. They're going to send me to the 𝗏𝗏𝗏. When they do, when they send me to the box, make sure I get all my property. I'm going to dust this dude. My celly kept saying, don't do it. So, boom, I come into the pins. When I come into the pins, he's sitting, the guy that was talking all the crap, that said 32 cell was talking the crap, that I really wanted, was sitting across. So I sat across from him. And he had like, you know, he was like, his foot was up like this. And his head was down. So when he looked up and seen me, he put his foot down. You feel me? Like, so I'm like, what's good? So he's sitting next to a Spanish dude who's Latin King. Now this same Spanish dude was in the hole with me. He was next door, so we used to talk. So he know who I was. And I was telling him about my case and the sex assault and, you know, and everything. So anyway, the Latin King Spanish dude looked like he didn't realize who I was either. So he wasn't paying no attention. So this dude, I see him now. He start tying his shoes because he had his shoes just, you know, like unlaced. He start tying his shoes up. So I was like, yo, you know, I was gonna let this dude chill. Now he acting up. So I see him, he get up, he start stretching, he doing all of this, little stocky dude. So I'm like, all right, man, he gotta go, you know. So all right, this how I'm gonna do this. I ain't gonna dust him right in the pins because then they gonna flip me. So how I'm gonna work the chirp is, let's see how I can angle this. Maybe once we get in the police car, in the sheriff's car, and we go to the next spot, I could dust him there. Or if I got an opportunity when we walking out the pins, I'm gonna dust him. So boom. Sure enough, they start calling names, the sheriffs. So it's a female sheriff. So she like, Limbar, Jacob, Hussein, Nesbitt. So they called somebody, they called a Latin King dude, they called him, and then they called me right behind him. And him was walking out the pen like him had no fear in the world. So I'm walking behind him, and now as we walking out, once we get out, you kind of got to make a left. And we're going to be outside the pen. So as soon as we made that left, I cracked him, I hooked him. Boop. He went cold. He went out. I mean, and it was loud, I guess, because, you know, sometimes when you get hit, fist on cheek, pow, he went down, you know, and it was like a little sidewalk almost attached to the holding pin. So he went down on the sidewalk and sat down. He was fish grease. When he did that, the sheriff, female, she took off. So this is R&D, which is like intake, where you usually get process coming in and you get process going out if you're going out to court. So on Rikers Island, intake is known to go down. But obviously, like I said, I'm in Middlesex County, which is not known to go down, especially in intake. So when she heard that, she dipset, she boogied. The Latin King dude turned around, he like, yo, and start throwing his hands. So I'm like, what's up? Him man? Done. So the Latin King dude didn't move. Police finally came, gripped me, checked me out. Yo, you good? Brought me to the infirmary, checked him out, whole joint crush, boom, boom, boom. End up going, you know, we ended up going to court. They sent me to another pen. And then they had him and the Latin King dude and a bunch of other dudes that came with us in that pen. And they just kind of like had me in a pen for dolo. So we, you know, me and the Latin King dude start talking like, yo, you blood? I'm like, nah. He like, yo, you Crip? I'm like, nothing. I'm Muslim, man. What's up? He like, yo. I'm like, yeah, I was some violator. I was in a box in 32 cell. He like, oh man, we was next door. And I'm like, oh yeah, boy, what's good? He like, yeah, da da da. So he start telling dudes over there on the low, yo, that dude in here for a sex charge. Blah, blah, blah. He start going in, but I don't know this until I'm on my way back to the box, because I was in population. But after I did that to him, once I was coming back, my stuff was already packed, so they was putting me in the box. So as soon as I got to the box, I seen dudes that was in there on solitary because of their case and certain things like that, like different murder charges. So some dude was in there indefinitely, and I was coming back through like, they like, yo, what happened? You just left last week. I'm like, yeah, remember boy that him did the 1-2 Costa Zoo? I had to dust him. They like, word. I'm like, yeah. And that was that. That was the another 15 days in the box. Was I was right? Of course not. I wasn't supposed to put my hands on that man. All my scenarios in prison, but I caused it, and that's why it's vital. I'm telling you, just because you're doing good don't mean that you're not gonna get incarcerated for something that you haven't done. So when you enter these places, the best thing to do is shut up, mind your business, and do your bid. Do not be tough and don't be soft. Don't allow anybody to take anything from you, and don't take anything from anybody. And that's one of the things that I learned in prison that could have caused me less problems and less stress. Should I have gotten on a gate and been talking about what Ñetas do? No, that's not my business. They try to rape somebody, that's it. Now, if I'm there in the midst and they're trying to do something and I can help, then I help. But as far as just stepping out your way and out your bounds, you're going to get killed. And there was a lot of times, I don't know how, like a lot of these scars are from prison and jail. But a lot of times, I could have avoided so much if I would have just stayed in my own lane. And that's an issue, even on the streets, guys. So I learned so much valuable lessons. So if you do get locked up, I don't care what happens, you know, they come and point you out for a robbery because you have the same clothes on that somebody that just robbed somebody 3 blocks down had, and then you get locked up. This is serious things that happen, and now you're fighting a robbery and you're on Rikers Island. Keep your mouth shut, you know, be patient, mind your business, and defend yourself when needed. Guys, I hope that was a valuable lesson. Alhamdulillah, I didn't feel no pain behind that. Maybe later on, of things, you know, certain things that happened might have been because of how I wrongfully put my hands on that man. But in like immediate, something happening through that, it didn't. So may Allah forgive me and have mercy, and please benefit from these stories. And like I said, it's so much more that we're coming with. Stay tuned, stay rip, 6-pack, big back, big facts.
Indeed, in the body, literal translation, is a lump of flesh, a piece of meat. إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. And when that lump of flesh